Hello, and thank you for joining us. That's right, this is No Soundbites Allowed with your host, Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier. Happy to be here with you today. We're going to have a relatively short discussion. And for those who have never been here before, we do long-form political commentary on this program, and every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have a live stream where you get to speak directly with us on the issues that matter to you and your opinions about that. So today, what we're talking about, it's November 11th. It is Veterans Day, and I want to thank all of the veterans that are out there that may be watching this or may somehow hear about it. I also want to give a belated birthday. Yesterday was the Marine Corps birthday, and to all of my brother Marines, hoorah, and I hope you're going to have a great time. I want you all to be in peace. But speaking about this issue for today, on November 11th, we see that a week after the elections, Governor Cuomo is out of his mind. Governor Cuomo, or Emperor Cuomo, as he is often called by many people, especially in upstate New York, he's on a power trip. And he has overreached, once again, the power that he is afforded by being a governor of New York State. And let's be very clear about what we're talking about here, because I know a lot of people may be wondering about this because we've seen governors like Governor Whitmer, Governor Newsom, and many others that are also overreaching their power and imposing their will on their states. We just heard from Governor Emperor Cuomo today on the 11th that he has come out and he has announced, as we see on NBC News, that he is imposing curfews on New York bars, restaurants, and gyms and limiting private home gatherings to 10 people. Now, this is a very important thing. It's critical. It's absolutely critical because in doing this, he has made a statement that New York State bars, restaurants, bowling alleys, gyms, all must close at 10 p.m. Now, we have to remember, after what we saw in the spring and summer of this year, businesses have been devastated. Approximately 1 in 5 businesses have closed permanently. We are continuing to see the dominoes fall from that crushing economic policy that has destroyed the New York State economy, which is why Governor Cuomo has been begging Congress to give him $61 billion to bail out the state for his poor economic policies, not just in 2020, which does account for approximately $13 billion of that, but also his previous poor economic choices, which have driven out 1.8 million New Yorkers, destroying the middle class in New York State and increasing the tax burden on those who have remained. Governor Cuomo is out of his mind. Okay, so he says that there are more cases of COVID. And because of the increase in the number of cases, we must shut down all these businesses and cause them to be suffering. Now, mind you, COVID is an airborne virus. The number of cases have increased. The mortality rate, the deadliness of this disease has dropped over the world, in the country, and in New York State. These are facts. They are indisputable. But he is going to say that for the precautions of public safety, he, in his own singular mind, has decided that this is the best course of action. You can argue that. Some would say that is a good idea. Some will say that it is not a good idea. Just in the same way that COVID somehow is imagined to be able to identify people who are standing up versus those who are sitting down, someone who has eaten a meal versus someone who has not, someone who has gone to a church versus someone who has gone to Walmart. Now we are saying that COVID doesn't really exist after 10 p.m. COVID is active after 10 p.m., but not before. It makes no sense. The logic is not there. This is not scientific. This is purely the will of Emperor Cuomo. The part that really gets me, though, is that we're seeing Emperor Cuomo has decreed that people, the public, are not allowed to have more than 10 people in their homes. Let me make this clear. You can't do that. No governor has that right. The president does not have that right. The Congress, either or both houses, do not have that right. And if this were to go before the Supreme Court, they would agree. There is no agency of government, from the federal to the local, that has the ability to limit and to come into your home and take it. Let me make it how clearly can I say that? How can I say that Governor Cuomo has absolutely overreached his power and has reached authoritarian levels yet again? Well, let me show you. Very simply, this is the Fourth Amendment. I want to get it on the screen for you a little bit better. Oh, I can't. The Fourth Amendment states that the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. According to the legal information at the Cornell Law School, which we have on screen, and you'll be able to see the link to see this properly, the Fourth Amendment is meant to enforce the notion that each man's home is his castle, that it is secure from unreasonable searches and seizures of property. It protects us against arbitrary arrests and is the basis of law regarding search warrants, stop and frisk, safety inspections, wiretaps, and other forms of surveillance. Governor Cuomo, let's be very clear here. It protects against arbitrary arrests and is the basis of laws regarding search warrants. Stop right there. You cannot come into someone's home and count the number of people and decide that there are too many people in that home. You cannot arbitrarily determine how many people can be in a home. That is illegal. There is no way that Governor Cuomo can say you can only have 10 people in any particular home, as he has now claimed. Now, he has done this after, of course, the Governor Cuomo has waited to make this announcement until he has seen the gains in New York State, where Democrats feel that they are secure in having 40 of the seats required for the New York State Senate. That, in addition to the seats in the Assembly, which is controlled by Democrats, would mean that single-party rule would remain in New York State. And that would allow him to continue to put out edicts left and right as if he were royalty, as if New York State was not part of the United States of America and the Constitution did not exist. Governor Cuomo does not have these powers, but he feels like he may, because he has this, his party has the singular rule of New York State, sadly. Now, we know for a fact, as reported by the Auburn publication, the constitutional challenges to New York COVID-19 restrictions are expected to increase. Now, this is something that was updated on November 5th, although it came out on September 29th. And we know that as of this moment, there are some 28 cases that continue to exist that are in courts as we speak, trying to stop Governor Cuomo and his unlimited power and his violations of New York State statutes as well as federal and constitutional law. Now, Governor Cuomo believes that, or through his advocates, he believes that there's no such thing as absolute rights, that he wants to make it in the example that everybody's individual freedom is limited by the impact it's going to have on someone else, and uses the case that you cannot yell fire, you cannot illegally or falsely shout fire in a crowd. Well, that's not exactly the same thing. You see, the First Amendment does not protect someone who is knowingly making a false claim. So, no. Now, you can't say that limiting the Fourth Amendment is not the same thing as having an impact. Matter of fact, going by the very statement, everyone's individual freedom is limited by the impact it's having upon someone else. My home is my individual freedom. Those who have come into my home have done so through their individual freedom. You cannot say that New York State is somehow impacted by the number of people in my home. You can't do that. There is freedom, and freedom is a double-edged sword. This is a violation of the Fourth Amendment, and it needs to be stated as such. Emperor Cuomo has failed the public. He has failed New York State. He is violating the constitutional rights of Americans everywhere. We need to make this known. I may or may not have 100 people in my personal home this weekend, starting on the weekend and continuing from that point forward. I may or may not have regularly 100 people in my residence, which can hold them, and I absolutely dare Governor Cuomo or any of his, anyone empowered by him to spy on my home, which is illegal, to try and determine whether or not there are 10 or more people in this home. I dare Governor Cuomo to come to this door and try and find out who may or may not be in this home at any given time. I dare him to illegally try to, what is he going to do? Find me? I dare you. You're going to arrest me? I dare you. Because you have no constitutional right to do so. And I would enjoy going to the Supreme Court and challenging Governor Cuomo and New York State on its ability to come into my home unwelcome, without a warrant, without a violation of law, to determine how many people may or may not be in that home, let alone in the fact that it would violate an edict by Governor Cuomo. I would recommend that everyone in New York State and in any state where we have a governor who is overreaching the Fourth Amendment and the Constitution in this same manner also make these same declarations on social media or any other media and newspapers as much as they can. And we dare the federal government or any government, local or state, to come into our homes without valid reason, without law and due process, to try and impose a fine or to arrest us. I dare you. I triple dare you. And I hope others will join me in this and also make similar declarations. Hashtag I dare you. Hashtag my home, my castle. I thank you for listening to me. And I hope that you too will agree with this. But if you do not, we do invite other opinions and other voices. You can reach us on Facebook, on YouTube, and in response to this YouTube video, where you will also see descriptions of the sources that we have just spoken about, and leave your comment. I thank you, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.